Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Kyle from Infinite Hustle, and I want to talk to you today about eliminating toxic relationships in your life and getting rid of the people who are not truly valuing and making your life better. If there's anybody out there that you spend your time with that is literally not making you a better person or making you feel like a better person, then you don't need to spend your time with that particular person. You need to isolate yourself from people like that. You need to isolate yourself from people who throw you into situations and environments that are unfriendly and lead you in a negative path or direction. Throughout my life, I've dealt with numerous relationships that are highly toxic and volatile. And during those times, I felt like those were the places and the people I was supposed to be around. Because I thought that I was brought and put on this earth to help those people and find their problems and figure out solutions to their problems. Because I didn't like to see them in the positions that they were in. So I would gravitate myself to people who are negative and not necessarily progressive, because I felt like I just wanted to help them and make their lives better in any way that I could. But as I get older and as I learn and as I progress through the years, I realize that those toxic people are going to be toxic no matter what you do, what you say, or how you benefit their life. Even if your life is dedicated to making their lives better, they don't realize it and understand, and they don't necessarily value what you're really doing for them. For the past 2 years, I've been dedicating a lot of my time to trying to figure out what's gone wrong in my uncle's life. I've been trying to figure out where he went wrong and been trying to alter it and fix it so his children and his grandchildren don't have to live with the repercussions of his life and have to remember his name as somebody who was negative and toxic and non-beneficial to them or the family. I know my uncle's had lots of issues and things that came up in his life that have set him back, but that's not an excuse. To be honest, my uncle is one of the most gifted men I've ever met in my entire life. He can learn any type of skill or craft or ability and pick it up almost instantaneously. His ability to learn things is phenomenal. His opportunities in this world were endless at one point in time. During his life, he took a path that wasn't necessarily the right one, and it put him in a position to where he was around people who were toxic to him and non-influential to him, and people who were drug addicts and criminals and people who were not necessarily as desirable as they should have been. He got involved in the drug game, started selling drugs and using drugs on a regular basis, and eventually caught a prison sentence. He spent 10 years of his life in prison, in a federal prison. For some reason, as a child, I envied my uncle and I wanted to be just like him. I thought he was a badass. I thought that he literally ruled the world and had a grasp on the world because, at one point in time in his life, he kind of ruled the streets and had a decent amount of money, and his name and his word meant something. But as his case and his sentence became part of his life, and the addiction and the drugs became part of his life started to spiral down the wrong path and direction. Those abilities and gifts and talents that he was naturally born with started to disappear and were short-lived and were unused. Some of the people in this world that have the most potential are not using it at all. And he is certainly one of those people. He could have accomplished anything in this world. He could have been a multi-millionaire easily with the talents and the gifts and skills that he was blessed with. But he took a path that was easier and provided fast money, and it provided, not necessarily a dopamine high, but just an uplifting high of being the man or being powerful or being the one or being somebody special or who he thought was somebody special. But as I've come to realize, he's a dumbass. He's threw his whole entire life down the gutter, and he's had endless opportunities to fix his life and alter the path that he's been going down, and he consistently takes wrong turns, keeps going down the wrong path. After his prison sentence, he got out of jail and he started working full time. He started seeing his kids. His kids moved in with him. Things were great. Eventually, he got back into the drugs. He quit his job. Started hanging out with addicts and people who were criminals and people who were doing things that they shouldn't be doing. And eventually, his life was completely consumed with that. Every single person that he interacted with was an addict or a criminal or somebody that he shouldn't be influencing his life with. He was moving addicts and junkies and drug dealers and those types of people into his home, putting them on a pedestal, making them feel like they were the ones or they were somebody special because he was making them feel that way because he felt that way at one point in his life. And I don't know if he feels the same as I do, as he was trying to help these people. That's why he puts himself around these people or not. But regardless of what the situation or event is, he put himself around those people. And eventually, after he moved in the drug dealers and the addicts and the criminals into his home, his children disappeared. They moved elsewhere. They talked to him very minimally. And eventually, one of those drug addicts or drug dealers lit his house on fire because of an altercation that he gotten with that person. I'm not going to say no names, but I know who lit his house on fire, and that's what I'm getting at right now. Somebody torched his house, burned it to the ground. They threw a Molotov cocktail on his front porch of his house while he was sleeping and burned his house to the ground. From that point on, he became homeless. He started living out of his garage, and he gave up all hope. He literally started collecting cans and doing drugs 24/7. His children, his future, and his life were nothing to him. No longer. All the things that he had been given in his life, all the things that his parents had worked hard for, immediately disappeared. Nothing mattered except for the drugs and the lifestyle of a junkie. Now during this time, I gravitated towards my uncle because, like I said, as a kid, I was influenced by him and I wanted to be just like him because I thought he was somebody special. And to me, he is somebody special regardless of the problems that he faces and the path and the decisions that he makes. 'Cause he's my uncle and I love him, but I have a lot of disrespect towards him as I get older. Because I realize that I've literally put myself in the line of fire so many times to help him and better his life, and he's literally just burned me each and every time. I've gave him the opportunity to live with me. I've gave him the opportunity to eat at my house, shower at my house, eat food at my house, earn income with me. So many different things and opportunities that I put in front of him, and every single one of them, he spit in my face. It blew up on me and went in a negative direction, and went the opposite way that I had planned, and didn't work. He thinks that he knows everything and that all the problems in this world and everything that's happened to him is like punishing him specifically. But what he doesn't realize is that he's literally creating all those environmental situations for himself, and he just keeps pushing and pushing and creating more and more. You think that having your house burned down and becoming homeless is the end of the road. You think that you'd give up and you'd call it quits, give up the drugs and move back in with mom and dad and get a job and bring your children back into your life. But no, what does he do? He consistently goes and puts those drugs into his system every single day and makes those drugs a priority over his life, over his children's life, and over everything else. Throughout my life, I've faced the same kind of problems. I'm a recovering addict, and I deal with the issues of being an addict on a daily basis. But my biggest thing about being an addict is that I want to help people who are addicts. I want to not only help myself, but help the people around me, because I know that deep down, everybody can overcome their addictions and their demons. Even though my uncle is a dumbass and he makes all these wrong decisions, there's a possibility that he could go down a different path and choose the right decisions and start doing the things that he's supposed to. But I'm giving up on him. I'm done helping him. I'm done trying to benefit his life and make him a better person. Let me explain why. My uncle's literally got in a fight with me over him being high and him trying to get the last hit of his substance. He nearly cut off my head and stabbed me with a utility knife. The police were called and there was blood all over my apartment. And when it came time to testify, I acted like my bipolar and my schizophrenia that I suffer from altered my recollection of what really happened in that moment, and I made it seem like I didn't remember anything that had happened. So he got off scot-free and walked. Now I thought I was doing something beneficial by giving him a second chance and not sending him back to prison. But what I realized is that I opened up the floodgates to a world of horror and terror in his life. I made him spiral even worse down the rabbit hole that he was living, and made his life end up in a situation, in a place that now he can probably never get out of. Since that day where we got in a fight and he was locked up in the county jail and on his way to federal prison, once I made my statement and he was released, he started coming around again, and we kind of settled our hatred and our problems with each other, and overcame the fight that we were involved in with each other. But I consistently pushed and tried to do the things that I was initially trying to do, which was help him better his life and get his kids back into his life. But he just kept using and using and not listening to the positive entities in his life and only utilizing the negative. And he kept exposing himself to only the things that he shouldn't be exposing himself to. And eventually he just ends up in these situations every single day where he finds himself in a problem or a dilemma. He runs into the police and has interactions with the police on a regular basis. He gets in fights with family members and friends nearly daily because he thinks that they're out to get him, or they're trying to tell him how to live his life, or they disagree with the things that he's doing. Well, to be honest, they're all right, and the things that he's doing and the things that he thinks and the things that he believes to be right are incorrect. His morals and his outlook on life is absolutely wrong. The drugs have altered his entire perspective and mindset and mentality on life, and now nothing is more important to him than using. Nothing. I want you all to realize, if there's any addicts out there listening to this, that you have a chance to quit, you have a chance to overcome, but your chances and your time is limited. You only have so long to fix your faults and correct your mistakes before your time here on this earth is over. And I feel like my uncle is getting closer and closer to that day. Even today, he asked me for a ride. He kind of mentioned it, and then he left my house. And I overlooked it, and I didn't really hear him, to be honest, because I was kind of doing my own thing at my house. And he must have just expected that what he said was going to go through. He was insinuating that he needed a ride, but he didn't necessarily say, like, hey, Kyle, I need a ride at this particular time. Can you be here and give me a ride? It was never established. It was just kind of like he was expecting me to do something for him, which he does a lot. He expects me to do things for him, and he expects other people to do things for him on a regular basis. And what happened today is that he expected me to give him a ride at 10 o'clock, but about 9:30, I took a shower. Once I got out of the shower, I figured I was going to go exercise on my bicycle and go for a little ride around town. But what I didn't realize is that he showed up approximately 10:15 at my house expecting that ride, and I wasn't even aware of it. I was oblivious that he needed a ride, to be honest. I was on a different path. I was on my own journey, riding my bicycle, exercising. And he calls me on the cell phone and he says, you know, where you at, blah, blah, blah. He's bitching and complaining that, you know, I led him astray and I didn't give him a ride, and he was counting on me. Well, what I didn't know is that he was literally near my house at the time of this phone call. He stayed at my house until I got home, and he was outside of my house making a scene until I got back. And then when I got back, he's screaming and yelling and complaining and just acting a fool in my front yard, messing with my car, trying to disable my car so I couldn't use it, and all this crazy stuff and scenarios because he couldn't take his pop cans to the gas station, which was on the other side of town, to turn him in so he could get his dope for the day. Because I went on a bicycle ride to make myself healthier and to clear my mind and do something positive for myself, and I overlooked what he had said. I didn't hear what he had said. He literally went AWOL and went crazy, and the dope got to his head, and he realized that he couldn't carry the amount of cans that he had to the places he needed to take them, and he was dependent on the ride that I was going to give him, or that he was expecting to get from me. Like I said, this ride was never established. He was just expecting me to do a favor for him, which was never definitively written out or, you know, spoken of. So as I approach my home, he's outside yelling and screaming, saying this and that you know, he's going to beat me up, and he's going to break my bones, and he wants me to call the cops and this and that. And I didn't call. I was kind of messing with him because I was on a bicycle and he's walking with 2 big bags of cans. So I was kind of just insinuating a little bit and, messing with him, kind of getting to his head, riding close to him, and just provoking the situation a little bit worse and elevating it, getting to his head. But I was trying to literally get him away from my property. That's what I was trying to do. And I was trying to have him follow me in particular paths so I could sneak back into my house. But it didn't necessarily work out that particular way. So what I did is I ended up leaving my property and I went to a store to go get breakfast. When I came back from that store, he was still at my house and he started yelling obscenities and screaming and doing this crazy stuff yet again. And he was doing it for nearly a half an hour or so. Eventually my neighbors called the police on him, and they came over and talked to him, and they escorted him off the property and told him to leave or whatever. And what he does is your garbage recycle, or you have a garbage can at your house and you have a recyclable can that you put your recyclables in. He stole my recyclable can from my apartment, and he told the police. The police caught him taking the recyclable can that he was putting his pop cans in because I wouldn't give him a ride. He told the police that my neighbor authorized him to take that recycle can to the gas station because that was the only way that he'd be able to transport his cans from one end of town to the other. So he takes this, the police, I guess, corroborated his story, and my neighbor was cool and said, yeah, he could borrow it. And my neighbor wasn't aware of 100% what was going on. And the police kind of kept him in one section or area and let me kind of, get back into my house and mind my own business and go back to my day. But what I'm trying to get at is literally each and every day and every single aspect of his day is so consumed by getting his next hit or getting high or changing his mindset with some type of substance, that everything that's normal and real in his life, like family and stuff like that, are meaningless. He literally tried to fight me in front of my house, which he already has a no trespassing order because of similar situations that have occurred. And he's just provoking the police and me and everything else, my neighbors and all that, because he couldn't get a ride to take his pop cans back to the other side of town so he could get high, so he could get his daily dope. This is just an example of somebody who's spiraling out of control that has literally no hope. That's why I said I'm giving up on him. I wanted to help him and better his life and give him so many chances to fix where he's gone wrong, because I felt like he deserved that opportunity, and if anybody could do it, it was me. But what he's done to me and being around him has been so toxic to my life and negative to my life that I've started, utilizing the same type of substances that he uses, and I've kind of lived the same sort of life that he does, just not to that scale. But I catch myself getting closer and closer to where he's at, which is a homeless man addicted to drugs. And I came to the realization today that that's not me and that's not what I want to be. And if he doesn't want to change his life and become the man that he should be right now, then I'm done with being a part of his life. I'm done with trying to help him. I'm done with being, any type of part of his life at all, because I can't help him. I can't fix the things that went wrong in his life. I can't fix that he's addicted to drugs. I can't fix that he doesn't want to get help. I can't fix that he would rather take in pop cans and spend the money that he gets from pop cans on drugs than go get a normal 9-to-5 job and build up his life again and get his children back. Briar is literally the biggest part of my entire life. He's my most influential aspect of my life. That's my little brother's boy, Jacob. Jacob passed away at 16, and since that day, I kind of took his son's hand, and played the role as his father or his mentor. So it's like I need to be a proper influence for that little boy who's 10 years old now. And yeah, I want to help my uncle, and I don't want to see my uncle die or lose his life to drugs or nothing like that. But me putting myself in a predicament where every day there's a situation or a problem because, his dope's getting out of hand or his drug usage is getting out of hand, is making me realize that, what's going to happen when I get to those points in my life where the drugs consume my life and I can't control them no more. I can't make rational decisions, or I can't, make logical reasoning to spend time with Briar or spend time getting high. I don't want to get to the point where I value a substance more than I value my family or myself. And that's where he's at. My uncle's gonna die using drugs and on the streets and homeless with nobody by his side. And this isn't a sympathy story. This is a real life example of where you can be and where you can end up if you let drugs take over your life. If you're an addict, a recovering addict, somebody who dabbles in the demons of drugs, you need to realize that there's a way out, and you need to figure it out as soon as you can. There's no half-assed, partially in and partially out when it comes to being an addict. You either are or you aren't. Like I said, I'm a recovering addict, and I deal with my battles of overcoming my addiction every single day. But my biggest thing that's keeping me from ending up like that is watching where he's at today. Realizing that he was a very productive and influential person, and a great son and a great father and so many other things, to literally being a can man who's addicted to meth and K2, and that's his life. He has 3 little girls. One of his daughters has 3 daughters herself, so he has 3 grandchildren, and he's no mentor or advisor or even a part of any of their lives. His children literally hate him. His grandchildren will never know who he is. They may have seen him a few times, but they have no idea who he is. They're too little to understand who he is. They're not old enough to even say grandpa yet. They don't know who he is. He doesn't put in the time or the effort to make it evident that, he's their grandfather or he wants to be a part of their life. He literally dedicates the time that he has in this world to getting high and spending his time doing things that he shouldn't be doing. So like I said, this is a time to stand up and make a change in my life and fall back. I'm done helping my uncle, and I'm done letting him put me in the path and a direction that's going to make me end up like somebody like that someday, because I want nothing more than to be a positive role model for Briar's life. If I have to isolate myself from every single person I know, except for Briar, to become a better person, I'll do that. Yeah, I like smoking weed and dabbling into drugs once in a great while, but if that's the outcome and if that's the things that come with it, I'm never going to tempt its fate again. I'm never going to even risk it. And I'm never going to put myself in a situation where I'm around addicts or people who use drugs or substances that are toxic, because those people in those situations are literally the death of you, where there's no hope for anything positive. if you learn anything from this video, it's that even the most powerful, strong, happy, productive, honest, caring person can get caught up doing drugs, doing the wrong things, and it can literally ruin their entire life. I feel like my uncle's days in this world are literally numbered with minimal days left to go. I mean, it's just a matter of time when I'm going to get a phone call that says they found him dead somewhere. And it's not like he's an IV drug user or anything like that, but he's just somebody who's so confrontational when he's getting high or not getting high, or when he's focusing his energy on those substances, that he doesn't think clearly, and he literally ruins everything. He's going to end up causing problems with a drug dealer or somebody in this world who is not going to be as patient and as polite as I am towards him. He's going to think that he has a powerful voice, or something that is going to be able to do something to somebody who's not so nice as me, and that person's probably going to take his life or ruin his life even worse than it already is. I see somebody probably murdering my uncle because he is so confrontational when it involves him getting high or him not getting his fix. I don't see him changing his life now or ever. He went to prison around age 26. He's 49 right now. And since the day he went to prison, his life has spiraled out of control. And everything that he was given, all the opportunities that he was born with, have slowly faded away. And his life is nearly at its end. Addiction is a powerful thing, and addiction is something a lot of people deal with on a daily basis. But there is a way out. You can seek help. There's counseling sessions. There's addiction treatment centers. There's things that you can do. There's ways that you can move forward. But you need to change your outlook and your perspective first and foremost, because if you don't realize that what you're doing is wrong and that you need to change, you're never gonna. If you want to end up like somebody like my uncle, who, like I said, could potentially be a millionaire right now, to collecting cans and using drugs every single day, then go ahead. But if you want a chance in this world to be happy and see your children and live your life to your fullest potential, you need to figure out how you can get away from those toxic people, toxic substances, and anything that isn't beneficial to your life. This is the end of me helping him. This is the end of my faith in my uncle. This is the end of my forgiveness and all the things that I've done for my uncle in my life. I need to take a different road, and I need to isolate myself from him at all costs. I'm not going to give him the time of day, because my time is not worth being around or influenced by somebody with that kind of lifestyle. I don't want to put myself around people who literally value drugs more than they value their own children's life. And that's where he's came, and that's where he's at, and that's where he's going to die. His life is going to be over because he values substances more than his own life and his family's life. His parents worked their entire working careers, busted their ass. His mom owned a business for 30 plus years. His dad worked on the railroad, and he was a hard worker. And they did so much and provided so much, and overcame so much adversity to give him the opportunities that he was given, and he literally just threw them all away. The house that was burnt down, my grandma literally paid for everything. She paid for renovations for the entire house. She bought that house when he was locked up in prison so he would have somewhere for his children when he came out. He threw it all away. He gave everything up. And it's all because of the drugs. It's all because he didn't change his mind and his thought process and do something that everybody, not just him, knew was right. Everyone facing addiction problems, everyone who's related to any of the things that I've talked about, I want you to reflect and I want you to understand that these kind of people are everywhere. They're your brothers, they're your sisters, they're your uncles, they're your friends, they're people in your community. It's not just me, I'm not just the one person who has an uncle like this. There's people like him every single place, every city, every state, all across the world. If you don't want to be like these people, if you don't want to end up like these people, you need to take a stand and do what's right for yourself and your life, and your family's life. You know what's right and you know what you should be doing. That means getting away from drugs and those people who use drugs and people who are not living the lifestyle that you want to live. You need to do that right now. Because you don't want to end up like somebody like him who has nowhere to go but death. His life is basically over. It's just a ticking clock to when his day is up. And it's sad that I think about him like that, but it's true. I don't value his life as something that's going to be beneficial or productive to anyone. I don't feel like he can contribute anything to society, his community, his family, or himself. I feel like these situational events where he has crazy outbursts and problems are going to become more likely. His run-ins with the police are going to be more often. And his likeliness of going back to prison or dead is very high. So for his children, his family, his friends, and everyone else suffering from this kind of problem, find help, find a way to escape, and do it right now. If you don't believe in yourself, I do. I want you to get your help, and I want you to realize that you are somebody, and somebody does love you. And if no one in this world cares about you, I care about you. And I want you to be healthy, and I want you to live your life the way that you should be living your life. Don't make the same mistakes my uncle made. Don't let the lifestyle of a drug dealer or an addict consume everything that you've ever done or built or been given. Be thankful for the opportunities that you have in life and the things that you can do in this world, and avoid at all costs drugs and people who are on drugs. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you could share this kind of content with anybody who can relate, I would greatly appreciate it. Because I think things like this and people like this are becoming more likely and more known. And without people speaking up and without people, realizing that there needs to be something drastically done to help these people. And if that means putting them all on a desert island and just stranding them there with no substances or no way to get out, that might be the only way that they ever survive. Thank you for watching.